Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, this is the moment of truth, reality, and being raw at the same time. Because so many times when we process things, they tend not to help that much. So this question came in from someone. I've been working for this company for a number of years. However, because of so much politics, I feel stuck in my position as a receptionist. How do I overcome this? Now, the reason as to why I actually decided to respond to this question is because so many people feel stuck at so many different levels in their careers, in their jobs. And I've ever talked to someone who was also a receptionist, and actually the scenario looked exactly the same because of the company politics, okay? This person had joined the company, I think it was now over 5 years, and she was at the same level, being paid the same money. And she was telling me, you know what, I have tried everything in my power to break free, to try and get more money, to try and even do side hustles, but nothing has actually worked. And I remember, because this is a place I used to frequent. I used to be, to go to that place so often. So one time I was heading out, she called me. She was like, I know you helped so many people, but I have a scenario. I am going through this. And so she narrated to me what exactly happened. And in this company, there are people who know people. So many people have come in and they have gone to other levels. They started maybe as receptionists and they've gone to other levels. They earn a different kind of money. But because I don't know anyone in this company, nothing has happened in my situation. Even when I wrote a letter to request for more payment, nothing has actually been done. And I just feel so stuck in this position. So I asked her, do you do anything else with your time? And she was like, no, from here I just go home. I'm just doing, and the money that she was earning, I'm not going to say the money here, but the money that she was earning was really, really, really below her pay grade, I would say. And so I told her that, you know what, there are only two things that you can actually do in this scenario to get yourself unstuck. If you still really, really want this job and you know that for the past 5 years nothing has happened, you have to admit that nothing is going to happen even in the next 5 years. So if you're willing to retain a job, that means all that you have to do is to look at you having your own business and giving it more time, so that the time that you're here, yes, you do this job, but you have another side hustle and you actually continue doing it. And you might find that the people that are in your company, some of them can even become your clients. So it's possible that you will actually carry out your business in the same workplace that you're doing. The only thing is you have to be faithful and tender and take care of your job while you're doing your side hustle as well. And number two, if that is not an option for you, you have to be able, because we went through different, I asked her the different things that she can be able to do. And she told me her passions and all that. And I told her that the other thing, if you really feel enough is enough with the politics, and the politics can never change, then you have to get to a place and accept that your time to serve is long overdue in this place. And that means that maybe there is a different place that you can be able to serve, because you have a bachelor's, you got here at an entry point. That means you can actually look for another job if you want to look for another job. But there are so many things you have to be able, and believe me, she had been thinking about these things, and first they make you exhausted, you overthink, and then you start developing resentment towards people, you start being frustrated. So when I told her all that, she was like, it's like you live in my life. And I remember at some point as invited to still speak to a different company, and someone else was going through the same exact the same exact thing. And so while I was speaking, they were saying, but talk about this, talk about management, talk about what. I was like, even if we talked about management the whole day and administration the whole day, they also have a level at which they are making decisions, okay? And that means that you must own up your own life and make your own decisions as an individual. So you realize that getting unstuck is not about pointing fingers at anyone. It's about you pointing all the fingers back to yourself and asking yourself, what can I do in this scenario in order for me to get to feel much better, or to get to the next level, or to do something else. So I want you to be able to ask yourself, where are you stuck? Okay? Because after that, how the story ends, after that, she actually went on and started selling bags. Now, because she sent me pictures, she actually sent me a bag as a gift, and she was like, you know what, ever since I started this, I do it as a mobile thing. So most people know how they get in touch, because so many people were going through my reception, and I was just telling them about company things and that, but I made a flyer according to what you told me. I made a flyer, and so as I tell people about the company, about all these things, I'm like, okay, I also have a side business, and this is what I do. And she told me that so many ladies go through her table, and she has made 5 times more money than what the company is giving her every month, because I told her, you must track. Do not do business like any other, what other people are doing, that every money that comes now you are using, and what, just know what kind of capital am I investing, okay? Where am I going to get this capital from? If it's actually getting a loan and I'm investing it, I must be able to pay that loan, but I must be able to retain the capital at the end of the day and actually have profits. So what she did, she started printing flyers, she started sending, to groups, she started, networking, going to parties, because I told her one of the things is you do a lot of parties, but whenever you go to those parties, because I had been following her for some time, all I see you do is having drinks in your cup, and your cup is always full, and you're moving around, you're dancing around. That is time to network with people and tell them about your business. And she told me, yeah, I actually waste a lot of time at company parties, because there is always a party nearly every weekend. And I told her that is time, because there are new people coming in. There are new people that can know about your tote bags, those cute little bags with ladies and what. And so she started, and she was like, you know what, she did a radical decision, and she took a deep dive into it. But I will tell you for a fact, it paid a lot, to the extent, after that, I think it was a year after, or a year and a half, I met her, and she told me that, you know what, I actually don't need my job. I am keeping my job because of the contacts it's giving me, not because of the money that I am getting. So what she had done at that point, she had gotten a loan, and she had requested her company to put the money in the bank, so that her money that she wants from her job, she was like, I don't need it, but I can get a loan from the bank and make sure that I use my salary money to pay that loan while I'm investing into other things. And so she expanded her business, and she started doing not just retail, but to wholesale the bags. And people would come from Kenya to buy her bags, and from Rwanda to buy her bags. And she was like, I don't know what I can ever give you. I was like, no, if you can take care of your children and your family and you're happy, that is all that matters. Because I would want to see you next year and the year after that, and I want to see a bigger you and a better you. So you see, sometimes we plateau at different places. Number one, because we don't talk to the right people. Now, the right people sometimes are not the exact people that are in our lives. We must be able to seek out, and we must be able to put our pride aside and our ego aside. And you know that, okay, if that is the person that is going to help me, because I didn't pay much attention to, even when I used to go by the reception and say hi, I did not pay much attention to her. But I think by the time she stopped me, because I was just passing by, I'd come to get my card to just pass by and go. And this time I think she was like, you know what, I think she might have wanted to talk to me prior to that, but maybe she didn't bring herself to do that. But this time I think she was like, you know what, when this woman comes, I'm just going to, stop her and talk to her. So you realize that for her, that was a radical decision, because maybe she had thought about business. Maybe I didn't even give her any new information. Maybe she had thought about all those things. But sometimes the reason as to why we go to mentors or coaches, or we even go to someone to ask or for guidance, it's not because we don't know what to do, but sometimes it's the stamp of approval. When someone thinks like you and you're like, yeah, so that means I've actually been thinking about the right thing. And actually, I've found out that so many people that come to me, it's not because they don't know what they want. It's not because they don't know what they have to do. They know what to do, but sometimes what they need is an endorsement that, you know what, you were thinking right, okay? So go ahead. And sometimes what they need is accountability, that, you know what, now we know that we are starting on this journey and we must go all the way. So I want you to be able to find out, why do you feel stuck? Why and where do you feel stuck? Okay, for how long have you been feeling stuck? Some of us have been feeling stuck for the past year, 1 year, for the past 6 months, for the past 3 years. You feel like you have been in the same circles, thinking about the same thing, thinking about wanting more money, thinking about wanting more influence, thinking about, venturing into different businesses, thinking about, making your marriage better, thinking about grooming better children, thinking about taking that ministry to the next level, you're thinking about so many things, but you have plateaued for so long. And let me tell you, the worst thing is for a leader to work in a plateaued position, because then you become poison to whoever you are leading. Because whenever you are stagnant, even in the normal scenario, look at the water. When the water is stagnant for so long, that's a breeding place for bacteria. That's a breeding place for mosquitoes. That's a breeding place for everything. So that means the breeding place for envy, the breeding place for resentment, for frustration, because sometimes there are some leaders that will even be envious of the people that they lead who are making strides. So it does not help for you to have a name tag or to have a name on your office that you are a leader or you are whatever type of leader, but when you are not making any strides. Because the longer you stay there, just like I said, you become poison. Because when someone is trying to move, bekoza. When someone is trying to move, they are wiseacres. When someone is trying to move, they don't know what they are doing. No, if you were growth-minded yourself, that means you will create fresh water even for the people that you are leading to be able to grow. So when someone comes to you with their plan, when someone comes to you and they want to do something different, something better, you realize that you will be receptive. You will be listening because you know you have both fought those battles. You have, been at their level. You understand how they function and you understand that enough can be enough and people can get tired and want to grow. And it's possible that people can outgrow you. Now, that is a person that is growth-minded. That is not a person that just wants to sit on people's talents or sit on people's callings or, So you realize that growth or us evolving or us expanding, it works to our advantage, but more so it works to the advantage of the people that we are leading. Because then when they look at you and they're like, no, he has not arrived. She has not arrived. I want to be like so and so. Admiring someone who is stagnant, that means you're going to limit yourself. You're going to grow to their extent and then you're going to think that is enough and that is all the growth that there is in the world. No. I want to set your admiration on someone who is still increasing in knowledge, for someone who is still growing in knowledge, who is still growing financially, who thinks they have not arrived, because that person is going to be like a river of living water. It's not going to be like a reservoir. Yes, that is the word. So many of us have become reservoirs, like we're taking and taking and taking, and that is it. Okay? But when you grow or getting unstuck is you unclogging those pipes, okay? Sometimes you need the hot water. Sometimes you need, some ingredient and you're unclogging them for the water to flow again. Because sometimes when you're stuck, you feel like the water is not flowing, like your life is just not flowing. Now, the radical decisions that we talked about, some of them could be just a simple switch from you and I'll mention some of these simple switches of you having a prayer moment, you changing to saying, okay, I've been using hot water, but now I'm using cold water for a bath, just to wake my body up and just know that, I have things and business to do. It can be you journaling, just starting to write down and starting your day, thinking and elaborating, what do I want to achieve by the end of this day? What do I want to achieve? How much money, if I'm a salesperson, how much money do I want to bring in? How much money do I want to make out of my business? Because then that is going to inform all the decisions I'm going to make that day, all the meetings that I'm going to have one day, because I'm going to have an agenda that this is the kind of money that I want to make today. Because there are those of you that you can actually decide the kind of money. Business people, you can decide the kind of money that you want to make, okay? I know there will be so much money that comes in periodically, but you can decide and say, if it's within my power, these are the kind of sales I want to make. This is the kind of money that I want to make. Those simple switches. It can be just switching to you concentrating and saying, you know what, I am going to sit down with my laptop or with my journal or with my notebook. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then I am going to empty my thoughts, and I'm going to rearrange my thoughts, and I am going to set actions that I am going to do in order to arrive at what I want. Because some of these things have to be very practical. You can't just think and think and think and think and think and go to sleep while thinking, wake up while thinking, drive while thinking, and, you know, go to work while thinking, go back home. You are thinking about the same thing. Stop whining and start doing something about it. Okay? So if it's about marriage, then set up a meeting, okay? A meeting. Not even a date, a meeting. Sit down and plan together. What kind of marriage do you want to be? And sometimes if your partner is not actually interested and you're the only party that is interested, I've usually told people that you can go to marriage therapy, you can go to marriage counseling alone. And sometimes some of these things do not even need counseling. You just need to sit down and evaluate your life and ask yourself, I've been doing the same thing for the past 18 years or for the past 15 years or 10 years in this marriage, and I've been getting the same results. So if I need to get a different result, if I need to be happier in this, if I need to be joyful in this, then what do I need to do? Sometimes you will find that, okay, certain things are done through prayer, and then certain things are done by you being honest. And you stop pampering people and not speaking the truth, because every time you want to cushion people, every time, because you're a natural people pleaser. So every time you want to please, and the pleasing has not gotten you anywhere. So you sit down and say the action plan is actually for me to speak my truth. Whether I'm hated for it or I'm disliked for it or whatever it is, I am going to speak my truth. And I'm going to say that is not the food that I want. Some of us have even eaten foods that we don't want. We have bought things that we don't want in the name of people pleasing, because someone says, can we go and eat this? And you're like, yeah, since everyone is eating that, I'm going to eat that. No, you can be the one that says that, you know what, no, I don't like that. I'm going to order for something different. Even if it increases the bill, or even whatever it is, I will take care of my bill, but I want to eat something that I like. I don't want to keep saying yeses that I don't mean. Some of us, it's as simple as those simple shifts in life and saying, I'm going to speak the truth. Some of you ladies, you have depleted your joy and your happiness. Why still you are cushioning people? So, you will not even have the right budget for yourself. You will not even say how much you use for yourself. A time has to come when you have to be truthful, because the truth sets you free. Now, it's only the truth you say or the truth you know that sets you free. And just knowing it and not implementing it is not going to set you free. So, if you are stuck, okay, where is the money going? You cannot even sit down and say, every time you promise yourself at the end of the month, we are going to sit down and budget, and then a month comes, all the money goes through your hands. And then you're going to say, I'm going to do it next year. I'm going to do it next year. Some of us set resolutions. We have never followed up on them. And, so a lot of things are happening. So instead of running at that rat race, it's time, because when you get stuck, you start running in the same so it becomes a rat race, okay? You come back only to find that you're in the same position. So if you want to break camp, that means you're going to stop people pleasing and say, you know what, I've been fearing to break camp, but I think it's high time I really broke out of this camp. So you break out of it and say, okay, I will have a monthly budget. I will come, we'll sit down with my partner and say, how much are we saving? How much are we using? If we don't have any money to save left, then how much are we using where? Instead of letting the only one person who has an upper hand to actually go ahead and plan for that, and then you stay unhappy. So you ask yourself, some people, there's a married couple that they asked, I was watching a clip, and so they asked them, how long have you been married? 42 years. And they're like, so you've been happily married for 42 years? And this lady was like, no, for 2. So what happened the rest of the 40 years? That means she was unhappy all her life. And now that is when she started speaking the truth, because actually This is what happened, and I think some of you maybe could have watched that clip. She had brought the husband to a court, to a marriage court, and that marriage court, I think he had not been paying car tickets, parking tickets, and these parking tickets were growing because the woman, for the past years, what she had been doing, she had been going and paying all the car. Whenever the husband defaults, she goes and pays. Whenever the husband defaults, she goes and pays. So this time she was like, you know what? I'm not going to pick up after an old man. Clearly, yes, I love him, but I think I have pampered him for too long. Clearly, I could see the frustration on that woman's eyes and face, because for the past years, all she was doing is picking up bills, picking up this, picking up this. So she was the fixer in the marriage, fixing everything. In marriages, there are people that are holding white flags all the time. They are waving white flags. Why? Because they want peace. So they must create peace at all costs, whether it is detrimental to their health, whether they are not happy, whether they are not joyful. They are holding the flag of peace, the white, and they are waving it around. So they are going to take in everything. They are going to accept anything. They are not going to speak their truth. Meanwhile, there is one with an upper hand that is making all the decision. So that means you have to get, and the vice versa is true for some couples, that the woman makes some decisions that are actually not helpful to the spouse, but the spouse is picking up everything. The spouse is doing everything, cushioning everything. He's a people pleaser, so he will go with the flow. He will even eat what he doesn't want. He will even go to a house he doesn't want. He will, because he's the one that is following all the time, and he's holding the peace flag, and he does not want to rock the boat, while the woman is minded about her own things, doing her own things, and she's having the time of her life. And you have to be happy together. So if you've been running in that race, okay, you have to be able to get to a place and say, I am standing still, because you've been moving and you're exhausted. You stand, because the moment you stand still, then your partner is like, why aren't you following? It's like, no, I am done following. I think we need to talk. Okay? So when you get to that place and you say, I think we need to talk, you throw away the people-pleasing tendencies. You get back. That's why I even encourage writing a list, because people-pleasers usually go and they go back into people-pleasing, even in the meeting. The meeting that is supposed to liberate them is the meeting they go back into with people-pleasing tendencies. So they go back. I usually tell you, write your pointers, like 5 of them, and speak them the way they are written on the paper, and say, this has not been making me happy, and I am not okay with this. And this is what happens. Sometimes when I look at these couples, sometimes they think for the past 15 years we've been happy, and yet the wife has never been happy, or the husband has never been happy. So this is what usually happens. You have never told me that you don't like that. But you have never told me. It's been 15 years. Why didn't you say anything? So this person all along has been suffering, not saying anything, and yet she could have brought herself to stay. So sometimes the radical action is you standing still and saying, I am not making a movement until I am so sure that the movement I am making is working to my good. So you realize that if you feel stuck in your position as a receptionist, how do you overcome this? I need you to be able to reevaluate and understand. Remember, okay, what you want. You signed up for this job because you wanted to earn. Did you have any plan for yourself, to grow? Because if there is politics, chances are that politics is not going away in your company. That politics is going to stay. So that means 5 years from now, you'll still be in the same politics, and maybe with the same pay if nothing happens, and you will be as frustrated and as angry and as resentful as you are right now. Is that what you want for your life? So if you envision a different 5 years from now, then it's time to make a decision whether to increase your income using other sources or having a side hustle, or to say, you know what, enough is enough. I must be able to break camp and look for another job, okay? And this time look for another job. Definitely you can't go to a company. No company has a signpost that, oh, we have politics in this company. We play politics in this company. No, you're not going to do that. But when you get in, you negotiate well, and then you start where you are, and then then you also make your own plans. You are allowed to make your own plans. You don't just have to go with the flow of the company. No, you're allowed to make your own plans, because some people get into a job and say, okay, in the next 2 years I should be out of this job, because then I must be able to set up my things, my perimeters so well, so that I will be out of employment in the next 2 years. Or I can be actually here while I'm doing another course for me to be able to get a much better paying job or a higher paying job. So all those things are in your hands. Make a radical decision. That radical decision could mean upping your game in reading, getting a course, doing a course. Could be diving deeper in prayer for in my case. Because while I do the prayer, then I'm diversifying my knowledge. I'm growing in knowledge. I'm working with the right people in my life, the positive people. Because then, for example, if I tell my spouse that, you know what, I am fasting, definitely he's going to be my accountability partner, and so he pushes me to even be better, or even prays with me when I go into my prayer moments. When I decide to exercise, he'll be my accountability partner. So surround yourself with positive people that can be able to help you get unstuck, keep you accountable on the promises that you made to yourself. The best thing that you can do to yourself, and this is where I end, the best thing you can do to yourself is keep your own promises. Remember, number one, we talked about, stop whining and do something about it. So the moment you put down the action plan that this is what I am going to do, I want you to keep your own promises. Because if so many people have let you down and you dare let yourself down, then you are digging a pit for yourself. Then there's no coming back from that. But if you can be able to uphold, even if it's one of your promises, then there's chance you uphold two, there's chance you'll uphold three, and before you know it, you will be totally unstuck, and you'll be living a happy life that you don't have to fake, but a real happy life. Because where there is growth, there is life. Where there is stagnance, so there is death, okay? So you don't want to be stagnant. And I hope that you've been helped. We wanted to have this raw and, the way it is. I hope that you've been able to discover those spots in your life where you think you need a change. And I hope that we can be able to be courageous enough to make those mega actions and get the mega results that we need in our lives. Until next time, I need you to be able to send me your feedback. Let me know how you are growing, the radical action that you are taking, and what you would want to even hear us talking about more, so that we can be able to expound, to grow, and to evolve together. So from me to you is, I love you, and have yourselves a lovely time.